Hello everyone. Today we are going to do a challenger review of a game by the one and only Raidits. Now, if you've been on TFT Twitter or watched TFT at all, you know that Raidits is the number one cat player during the most broken cat patch that there has ever been. And today we're going to watch a little bit of some gameplay, go over what he does to see if we can get y'all some free LP before the patch comes out on Wednesday and turns her into a target dummy because she's not going to be what she was. But you can still get some free LP if you follow by the one and only. So let's get this started, take a look and see what he does that maybe you're not implementing into your games or I'm not implementing into mine. Okay, so to start this off, he generally goes for glove, bow, or BF sword to start out his games. Seems like he lost Carousel here and goes for the rod start. It's still a safe start when you're going into the game because it really does ensure that you get either Ionic Spark, Ruinance Hurricane, or not Ruinance, Death Cap, and Gunblade are some safe picks for starting with the rod. It also lets you kind of pivot into AP, but when you've got so much free LP to gain from going Katarina, why would you pivot into AP? So here he's going for about as high of a gold opener as humanly possible. It's kind of the stage 1 through stage 2 playstyle going at Katarina. You either open forward or, actually we'll pause here for a second. You open forward or you continue to build a strong board with as many cats as you can get early game and just get as much gold as possible. That way you can ensure yourself that you're going to get the items that you want early. Now here he's got his opening augment choices, and they're not the weakest augments in the world, they're not the best that he could be getting for Katarina. You like to start out with generally a tier 2 augment of, well, any of the econ augments or tier 2 exiles. Here he's got a choice between exiles, knife edge, and weak spot. Weak spot is pretty useless on cat. You're really not going to be worrying about their armor because you're not going to be carrying Talon or Shaco. Knife's edge is okay, but it's definitely not your first choice here. You kind of would take that as a last resort in any other set of 3, especially if you're going into something that's like a heart where you're getting mercenaries or something like that. If you plan on hard forcing cat, you can go knife edge, though it's really not optimal. And then their last one here is Exiles, which still really isn't great on CAD. It kind of messes with your entire team layout for when you're playing the game. Your positioning can get really messed up when you're playing with Exiles, but it is definitely rated his best choice here. And it's going to be a pretty simple choice. He picks Exiles. He got lucky enough to be able to solo 1-2 and 1-3 with Cat. Makes it a little bit smoother when he's getting gold, and he gets the level that 10 gold interest going into 1-4. He's hoping to maybe hit 20 here, though if he still gets out with 10 gold at 1-4, he's pretty happy going into stage 2. And it looks like it is a full gold opener against 20 gold, so he is riding high right now. There is really nothing going wrong with this opener. He's got Twitch and Katarina, which can pretty much guarantee you to get at least 1 kill off through stage 1 through stage 4, stage 2-1 to 2-4. Kind of ensures that you don't take infinite damage when going into neutrals in Carousel. Plays Graves here, just gets hoping to get 1 extra bit of damage out to try and save him some health. It doesn't end up paying off in the end because he still takes 4 unit loss, but it should be a good use of time going into the later stage. Now you can see in his shop, he's got 2 Blitzcranks and a Twitch. Now he can sack his Econ for this, which he intends to do, because you always want to hold Cats, Blitzcranks, and Talons going through stage 2, unless it's going to completely handicap your Econ. Those are just the 3 strongest units in this comp. And sometimes it's safe to sell a Blitzcrank if you're going for, say, going for 30 gold and you're on 28. But other than that, it's best to try and maintain those 3 units. That way you can get strong into stage 3. Gives you something to roll for when you're going down your 3-2 roll down. And it really does help you with your econ. Now here, which I've actually never played before, I don't see it very often, is the Katarina with Yordles. Now, since Ray is lose streaking here, he also decided to take advantage of the Yordles in shop and got a really lucky roll with his Heimerdinger to be able to not only get some extra units killed, but also get a consistent set of gold coming in to make it better for his econ going into neutrals. Now gets BF in his initial carousel, which is happy for him. I believe he was searching for that glove, but he decided to go for the 3-cost BF, which, as you kind of start seeing throughout this game, this Anax person that he's scouting, he knows is trying to force Cat as well, because when he scouted them at 2-1, they're open fording, which, if you don't know, is just when you open out your entire board through stage 2. You generally take about damage to 60, but you will most always have 50 gold and level 6 by 3-2, which is perfect for Cat. So you've got enough you've got enough gold for your 3-2 roll down. Which is also an important point. You're gonna see Ray continually click on this Anax and really scout only him. He scouts him and he scouts Trundle, because those are the two biggest proponents to him losing. Trundle is a direct counter to Cat, and someone contesting you, especially for a roll down comp like this, where you're going to be re-rolling either a level 6 or level 7, or a 2-cost or a 3-cost re-roll comp, you really want to pay attention to the state of your other opponent. Because if they hit before you and you're not far ahead, if he's sitting on 6 cats, or if Ray's sitting on 4 cats, the other person's getting their cat 3, you're pretty much going 8th. Here, he maintains keeping in the Yordles just to get as much gold value as can. He's got the option to pre-level here and just keep pushing levels to get to 6. Right here, he can actually push all the way up, wait for 6 if he wants to, and he pre-levels for next round. That way he's got level 6 already on his 3-2 roll down, and he's got so much gold that he's unbelievably comfortable. And as you can see, when he scouts Anax, he is well and far ahead of him. Important note is he slams a Gunblade going into these rounds, which it's not the general way, at least the early way of playing Cat. You want it to go Hand of Justice, IE, and Ionic Spark. But Ray has been a huge proponent of making sure that you go the highest possible damage. And since he knows that he's got the proponents for Gunblade already, he's placing his bets on being able to get a Death Cap, which will then, at level 3, or at 3-star Cat, will give him the optimal item build. Now, it makes it hard to get Spark, because the likelihood of you getting 4 rods late in the game is just improbable. We're going to pause here for another augment check. Now we've got Stand Behind Me, which is going to help for your bodyguards, though in this comp, you're never going to really want to sacrifice your positioning, especially already having Exiles, to try and increase their damage by putting them behind Blitzcrank and Leona. It kind of makes it impossible for you to get the value of sending your assassins all the way across that backline, especially with the increased damage done by having your Talon and Blitzcrank combo. Assassin Heart, which I think would be most people's choice here, is pretty much a grief, because you're going to be sitting on stage 6 till about 5-2, and that means you have a dead augment until 5-2, when then you can level and put in your Twitch or your Shaco, depending on which one you get 3-starred. Thrill of the Hunt, which I believe is the choice that Ray will take, is your strongest bet out of these two. Also not the greatest set of augments. This is pretty low rolling on the augments this game. Thrill of Hunt will help you keep your units alive. You don't really have to worry about healing as much on Cat when you've got Death Cap and Gunblade, but it will help for your Shaco and your Talon going into a later game. Though with the 300 health kills and this being on the stage 3 augment choice, Thrill is also not optimal. You would really want, if you're going for a healing augment on stage 3, probably Celestial, because it scales better into the late game with the percent damage done. But of these bad augments, Thrill is definitely his best choice. And you can see him kind of debating here, just talking about how really useless the bodyguard emblem is. But we're on stage 6 now, preparing for the roll down. He's got Leona's, and he did a minor roll down earlier, which got him to the 2-star Katarina, which he felt like he was strong enough to kind of help him sustain a little bit. Now that he's got Leona 2-starred and Katarina and Twitch 2-starred, you don't really have to worry about rolling it to 0, and you can actually maintain your econ. Um, Going into these next fights, he's going to start slowly but surely winning. Now he's going to keep blue streaking for a little bit here, as you can kind of see. He got some bad luck with uh, the aggro change bug, but coming up here in a few, especially after Carousel, he's going to want to start win streaking, maintain some of his health, but while fighting over the cats that he is with Anax, he's going to slow roll, generally not below 30, just to make sure that he doesn't lose all of his econ, especially with how healthy of a stage 2 he did. And he will generally be guaranteed to get his 3 stars. And the 3 stars you're going to want to focus on early here is Katarina, Talon, and Blitzcrank. A lot of people will just hold as many 3 stars as possible, but if you're holding Shakos and you're holding Echoes, unless you get really good shops, like a 3 Echo shop, you generally don't want to hold them for the gold, just because that's 9 gold invested for a unit when you still have so much to roll to get your Katarina. Now there's an interesting point that goes on here with Anax's his augments, where he chooses a first aid kit, which is extremely broken, probably the strongest tier 1 augment in the game besides Innovator Heart. But for Katarina especially, it really boosts your healing when you itemize correctly. Interestingly enough, Anax went for a glove on Carousel and then got a glove at previous Carousel, which made it so he was definitely going for a Hodge instead of going for a Gunblade. Now the interesting part of this is First Aid Kit does not scale as well with Hodge as it does Gunblade. Gunblade just does exceptional healing, especially when paired with Death Cap, but Hodge alone is just kind of this is your best use of items when you've got low rolled items, so you might as well go Hodge. So he's kind of griefing himself here, or they're kind of griefing themselves here with the choice of going Hodge over Gunblade, especially with the augments that they've decided. Now, as Ray is doing a slow roll down, kind of maintaining his 50 gold and trying to keep econ throughout this stage, you might notice that he's picking up a lot of 2-cost and 3-cost champions that aren't Katarina, Talon, or Blitzcrank. This is to simply pull out those champions from the pool. It allows you to kind of increase your odds, at least during that rolled out period, for the champion that you want. So he will go through and maintain at least 1 or 2 of the copies of 2 costs that he sees to try and make it easier for him when he has board space. And that will slowly but surely increase his likelihood to get the 2 costs he wants. An important part about that, besides the fact that it kind of takes a pretty high APM, which can kind of grief you on a roll down. I know I have kind of followed the same strategy, and it will greatly grief my roll downs. It will give you the opportunity to get 2 stars of those units, and that's the one thing you do not want to do. If you get a 2-star of one of these units, you are going to lose 1 gold per every 2-star you get when you go through and sell it, because you don't want to continue with them. And with a reroll comp like Cat or like Warwick or Trundle, you do not want to lose any gold. Your econ is kind of the most important part of you winning any of these games. You can be happy with the 3 stars, but if you have no econ, or if you have bad units, like you've got 2 stars of a wrong comp, it's going to grief you exponentially. Because your biggest part of this is getting the 3 stars for your units. So here we're going into Carousel. We really need a glove. It's kind of the most important thing for Ray right now. If he doesn't get a glove, he kind of is done for. For some reason, the entire first picks let a Urgot with glove go. I don't know why, but he has, lucky odds there, I guess, and is able to get the IE on his Cat, which means he has the completely optimal items for Cat. The only thing he's missing in this comp is preferably you would want Morello and Spark on Echo, but luckily he's got Sunfire, which does pretty much the same thing as Morello, just doesn't give him the AP scaling for the attack speed buff on Echo's ult, but the Spark value isn't there, which kind of sucks. We've got another final augment choice, Stand United, another Bodyguard emblem, and Exiles 2. You're never going to need to go Bodyguard emblem because you don't want to, 1, taunt your enemies when you go into there. So some people may say, okay, well, let me Bodyguard emblem my Talon. He's going to be my strongest minion, my second 3-star, especially with Ray's board at the moment. That is going to pretty much guarantee that your Talon, who's one of your major damage dealers outside of your Katarina, is dead early. the AD or the armor will help, the taunt will help get people off of your Katarina, but it pretty much guarantees your Talon to die when he is one of the most necessary units in this comp outside of Katarina, and he needs to be alive for as long as possible in order to get his bleeds off. Stand United is a really iffy augment. It's generally not good in any comps. The only comps Stand United is actually good in is Innovators, at least from what I've seen, because you have so many augments. You have so many type advantages that you've got on your left-hand side that go across for the stage. And other than that, Stand United's kind of just bad, really. So this gives you 6 total stats, 3 AD, total ability power, and you have 4 traits right now. You're getting what, 12 AD, 12 AP on each champion, which isn't bad, but if you already have a high damage team like this Katarina build, going Stand United is just a waste of time. Exiles 2 gives you an extra shield. It coincides with Exiles 1. It's generally not needed. What you really want here, especially on 4-6, is Smoke Bomb, especially if you're getting a tier 2 augment. Smoke Bomb pretty much guarantees you a first, especially in Ray's position right now, because it removes any healing debuffs and it removes any aggro from your champions. But when you lower augments, you kind of go with what you got. So Exiles, I believe, is what Ray's going to go with. It just seems like the best option for him. It's a hard choice, really, because not necessarily that you want to choose something else, but it's irritating to get bad augments, especially when, as you can see, Anax gets Smoke Bomb, in addition to Social Light Hard and First Aid Kit. So if you're going to get any augments, if you're going to low-row the augment choices, and then see your, opponent that is also rerolling Katarina, which is farther ahead with Katarina than you are, it's kind of irritating to see that they got better augments than you. But Ray's doing a pretty good job of kind of stabilizing. He's beating Trundles. This is actually, I think, the second time he's beaten this Trundle that is built to go against him. Trundle comp was found and kind of built around stopping this Katarina throughout this 3-week patch. This was 3 months, so he would be miserable. And he is still able to destroy that comp with Katarina. Which really just kind of shows how strong this item build is. Because realistically, you're not going to be beating that comp with Hodge. Just like Hodge, IE, and Spark, you're not beating Trundle that consistently. Especially with the 2-star Katarina. 3-star Katarina kind of beats everything. But even with bad items, you're less likely to beat there. Which you can kind of tell with Anax losing much more, about half his health as Ray is. But currently has a 3-star Katarina, which means they're following a similar plan, but Ray is still able to succeed a little bit more here. Now, with any team you're going against on here, Vex is going to beat you with Katarina. It's just guaranteed until you've got Cat 3 and they don't have Vex 2. But Vex Bramble Declaw is kind of the ultimate Cat counter. It's also the ultimate Yone counter. It kind of counters everything, but here it definitely, you can see it's doing some damage. But we've got Cat going against Cat here. 3-star just definitely wins. It's really the only major difference besides augments between Ray's comp. And Ray at least has a 3-star Talon, which is a huge damage source, especially going into late game. And generally your only way to defeat high armor Bramble Vest comps, because Talon does so much consistent damage, especially against Vex, where he's doing damage over time, which allows your Talon to do damage on Vex, and then Katarina to attack the bat line. So here's his first loss to the Trundle player, but Trundle 3 just kind of wins here. It's more of a stat stick problem than a team comp problem. When you're going against a 3-star with your main carry on 2-star, you're generally destined to lose. And if you're not, that's more of like an emergency patch situation by the dev team. If you have a comp that's so strong that you can pretty much decimate 3-star carry fully itemized. But RFC was the choice on Carousel, probably the best to go with, especially since you've already got Zephyron Blitz. RFC is best in slot for Talon, so you might as well just try and hit all of your best in slots. Now these are some pretty easy wins by Ray. It's kind of hard because you want to you want to streak at some nature, and here you're not able to streak. Actually, he might lose this one. No, yeah, he wins here, which sucks because he's three losses and then a win. But with his health at 14 now, this game's really kind of going by. You want to be able to sustain as much as possible. So from here on out, in order to maintain a top 4, he kind of needs to win streak for the rest of the game, because he's on about, at stage 5, this could easily be his last life. He could be taken down to probably between 2 and 4, depending on how he loses, but he has a really high likelihood to just lose out here. He's 1 cat away. He's got his 3-star Blitzcrank and Talon. Really, the only thing you need to do is donkey roll. You're going to donkey roll down for a cat. Hopefully, you'd want to wait to donkey roll until Anax dies. But if Anax doesn't die and put more cats in the pool, you're going to just end up wanting to level here and put in your next strongest unit to play strongest board. It's not awful to try and roll for a cat at level 7. It's not optimal, but if it's going to keep you in game, which is actually what Ray does here, he decides that it's best for him to put in another unit, get Socialite Hex in there, which he could also do another Protector. He could have done, well, Socialite's probably the best after that. He could have gone for some 3rd unit to give him some further CC, but without that, he's not getting much better there. This is his last loss. Okay, so like I said, he's got 4 health here. He got really lucky with the final shop, especially since no cats were put in the pool. With that last shop right after the game might have saved him here. Got his cat 3. He has optimal items. Blitzcrank 3 with Socialite Hex. This is guaranteed top 2. It might be top 1. And I only say that with so much certainty because at this point, team to team, he is just stronger than Anax. I mean, you can be out-positioned, but at this point, he's just way too ahead. Because he's got optimal items. He doesn't have optimal augments, but he still has more defensive augments to kind of counteract the really strong augments that Anax has. So now he doesn't really have to worry about positioning, which is a fun thing about Cat, is at least most Cat players don't actually worry about positioning. And the only thing positioning he changed was getting that Blitzcrank up. You generally have your defensive units in the back line with your Blitzcrank and Leona, but once you once you Zephyr your Blitzcrank, you kind of have to move it around to get the best value out of it. You could throw it in Socialite spot like Ray was doing for the early parts, but that can kind of grief you, especially if people aren't playing positioning. In lower elos, you can generally put your Zephyr in Socialite and you're safe for the majority of the game because people aren't thinking about Socialite and are always trying to greed for this Socialite spot, and they don't care about Zephyr. They don't think it exists because most people don't even take these utility items. But alas, the final unit to take out Ray, to get him to 2nd place, was Trundle. The comp is there to beat Katarina, but it just shows that with contesting and going against 3 players that are going comps to beat you, you can't win sometimes. But you can always get a top 4. The great part about Katarina, especially through these last 3 weeks, and coming up until I believe Wednesday when patch comes out, is that you are guaranteed to either lose 10 LP or gain 10 LP, like at a minimum. You're getting 4th or 5th regardless, unless you super low roll or try and force it outside of possible items. But Katarina really will let you slowly but surely climb unless you are 3-person contested, and then everyone can hold hands and go 8th. So it's a really good comp to try out. If you haven't tried it yet, before the patch comes out on Wednesday, I would highly advise giving it a try. Follow some of these things that Ray did. Make sure you hold your Blitzcranks, hold your Cats, and hold your Talons, and make sure you watch anyone that's contesting you. You don't really have to position differently if no one's contesting you. You don't have to scout unless you've got Zephyrs across the board from you. You just have to make sure that your counters don't hit their hits and that your contesteds don't hit their hits. And once you get that, you're pretty much guaranteed to get at least 10 LP per game, not in total. If you're getting 10 LP in total, it'd be a grief comp, but I would highly recommend giving it a try. At least climb your way up 1 division with it. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all learned something good. time to put some stuff into action, and I'll talk to y'all later.